only thing we have to fear is
In war,
fear itself.
there is no substitute for victory.
Let us never negotiate out of fear.
We stand undivided, forever united, fighting hand in hand for the liberty we've earned, for glory and honor, for our sons and daughters, ever mindful of the lessons we've learned. Let the torch of freedom burn.
You found your way to the intersection of faith and politics. This is Wallbuilders Live with David Barton and Rick Green. You can visit our website at wallbuilderslive.com and also wallbuilders.com. It's Friday, so David, some more good news from across the nation that you're going to share with us today?
Got lots of it. How you want to go at this?
Man, I'll let you pick, bro. Usually you go either like geographically, from east to west, or particular areas like the courts or education. So you going random, or you got it?
This is the way they print it out. I've got a whole file printed out every week for this stuff. So here's what I got this week.
And folks, it might be wondering. So this is when we say good news, we're talking about something that kind of is either a victory at the court level or a piece of legislation, somebody gets elected, whatever. It's a positive step in the right direction in our culture.
For people who have conservative, religious, moral, and constitutional values, this will be something that they're really happy with.
Yeah.
If you're on the other side, if you're progressive and left, this is not good news. This is bad news Friday for you.
We'll do that a couple times. It's bad news Friday for the left.
Yeah, that's right. So this will make us happy, but it's going to make them real unhappy.
All right. So what you pick, bro? What do you want to start with?
First thing off the top here is a Gallop poll, and Gallop is not considered a conservative polling organization, by the way. But their poll shows that Americans want all or most abortions illegal. And it's by a big margin. By 2-to-1 margin, Americans want abortions to be almost non-existent.
That's huge. And
huge.
You typically are told the opposite, that most of the country is pro-abortion.
A candidate runs for office, you say, hey, don't raise that abortion. It's a divisive issue. Wait a minute, if it's 2-to-1 in my favor, that's not divisive. I'll take that. As a candidate, you take a 5-point margin, you consider that a landslide.
Absolutely.
You got here, what's this? This is a 24-point margin in favor of life over abortion. Yeah, 24-point difference by 61 to 37%. And rare means like rape, incest, life of the mother.
Yeah.
So you got 61%.
How does that fit into time? I mean, I'm assuming that's better than past, because I've always heard 50-50 or worse.
Since about 1994, America's been moving more and more pro-life. So this is consistent along with the trend. And that's really significant because you have the most pro-abortion president in history, most pro-abortion Congress we've had in the last 4 years, and they haven't converted anybody. It's gone really quite strikingly the other direction. So you take this poll, and despite all the efforts that they've been making on the pro-abortion side, people aren't buying into it. They're actually going
even
the
with
direction.
them kind of being evangelist for it, I mean, talking about it all the time.
And the media loves it. I mean, the media polling continues to show the media is overwhelmingly pro-life. So they're going to...
You mean pro-abortion. Media is pro-abortion.
Against pro-life. So they're going to tell you every pro-life person that bombs a clinic or does anything, they'll never tell you a pro-abortion person doing that to a pro-life person, but they will tell you the other way. And they're always going to make the pro-life people look really stupid, really dumb, really ignorant. They're going to find the dumbest quotes they can. And despite all of that, the people still are growing in their support for life.
Even in an environment where you have these politicians that are trying to sell the idea of, because if they're passing legislation that's going to be pro-abortion, they got to go out and stump for it. They got to talk about it and sell it. So even while they're putting on their best game face and selling it and trying to make it look good, we're going the other direction.
And it's interesting too. This is a term you may or may not recall. I certainly recall it 10, 12 years ago. Soccer moms.
Oh yeah.
Soccer moms were the pro-abortion women that were childbearing age. There ain't no soccer moms anymore. We're not talking soccer moms any longer because they're no longer pro-abortion. So you look at that childbearing age, and that was considered to be from like 24 to about 39, and that was your soccer moms. Not anymore. That's not the pro-abortion group anymore. As a matter of fact, it's interesting that when you look at the 61% who want abortion nearly gone, how do you think it breaks down between men and women?
Oh man, I'm going to guess more men are pro-life. I don't know.
Yep, 61% versus 60%, almost
all
even.
of 1%.
But when you look at those who want 100% of abortions banned all the time, as opposed to I want them nearly all banned, like 90% of them. Those who want no abortions at all to be legal women overwhelmingly whoop men on that.
Really? That does surprise me.
Yeah, women are much more, I want no abortions whatsoever than men. And that's pretty stout stuff. I mean, that's a change, again, from soccer mom language that we used even a decade ago. And then as you look at youth, this one, again, validates that 18 through 34-year-olds are still the most pro-life group in America.
Good.
Now, right behind that is those who are over 55. And then but when you get down into those that are in that younger category, and even 35 through 54, they're all right there really heavy pro-life. 58%, 59%, 64%. I mean, it's strong numbers.
And you really cannot move the legislation and the policy if you don't have the people behind you. So the fact that the attitude of the people has moved the right direction should.
This thing right here, the reason it's hard for me to organize is there's so much pro-life victories in here.
Yeah.
Because these people showed up to vote 2 years ago. They voted in a whole bunch of pro-life legislators at the state and federal level, governors, etc., and they have been turning out pro-life legislation at a rate I have never seen.
Excellent.
And I mean, just in the last 2 weeks, as legislative sessions are winding down, we're getting this flurry of bills that are being turned out in the last 2 weeks where they're being signed by the governor and becoming law. And so it is unbelievable, the onslaught of pro-life legislation that's going through.
I'm smiling because you know, like you said at the beginning, it would be, it's bad news for the left. I don't know if you remember, 3 or 4 months ago, we had Diane Edmondson on from the Life Organization, and she was talking about there was a quote of a pro-abortion lady saying it's an onslaught. You remember that term?
Onslaught,
it's an onslaught in these state legislatures of all this pro-life, just everywhere. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of bills, and they were trying to play defense, and so now that onslaught is turning into real policy.
It's turning into policy.
And all these bills are becoming law. It's great.
And it's turned into policy because the people preceded the bills. The legislation is downstream of what the people believe.
Yeah.
So the people believe this. They elected people who believed it. Those people who got elected legislated that way, and now the people who voted have been validated with their beliefs, and it's good news.
Hey, the system works. We just got to work it, and
That's
there
right.
you go. Great evidence of it today. More good news when we come back. You're listening to Wallbuilders Live. Hey friends, Rick Green. Want to tell you about a great Wallbuilders program called Patriot Academy. It's for 16 to 25-year-old young leaders. We train them in a biblical worldview and how to get involved and make a difference. They get to come to the state capitol in Texas and serve as a state representative. But rather than find out about it from me, listen to the students that are actually there participating.
Patriot Academy is essential to the preparation, training, and equipping of the next generation of conservative leaders.
I just feel that this is the most hands-on experience that anyone our age can even attempt to have.
If you want to get involved in the political process, no matter what area, staff, campaign, you want to be an elected official, this is the place to come to find out and to test yourself if you have what it takes.
And if you're one of those young conservative leaders, you'll find that Patriot Academy will give you an in-depth, hands-on experience as to what it's like to really be part of the political process.
Well, there you have it, friends. A great opportunity for 16 to 25-year-olds to become the next generation of leadership. Find out more at patriotacademy.com.
Let the torch of freedom burn.
Welcome back, and thanks for staying with us here on Wallbuilders Live. It's Good News Friday, so we're looking across the nation at some of the victories out there that are happening because folks just like you listening right now stepped up and either let your voice be heard in an election, maybe you wrote a letter to the editor or went and visited with your state rep, whatever it was, you took a stand, and now we're getting to see the evidence of that.
Do you remember Pastor Mark Holick?
Wasn't he arrested?
He was arrested.
Yeah, Michigan, right? Or
no, he was
Michigan.
Kansas.
Kansas,
he was Kansas.
Yeah,
he was Kansas. He stood outside an Islamic center and out on the sidewalk, and people went by who wanted a Gospel John, he would give them a Gospel John.
Yeah.
And what happened was the police came and found him on the sidewalk, public sidewalk, what a dangerous place to be, on the sidewalk, and I think it was a captain or one of the officers, high-ranking officer came as part of the arresting team and told him to keep moving. So he walked off, and as he turned around to come back and walk and keep moving, when he turned around, they arrested him on the spot for turning back in the direction from which he'd walked. You know what they charged him with?
I don't remember.
Loitering. Now, how do you loiter when you're moving?
I don't know.
He got arrested. Remember, we had him on, and he kept saying, "What do you arrest me for?" We'll get to that. What do you arrest me for? Well, they never told him. And
so later they finally figured out this is what we're
Let's make it loitering. Now, how do you loiter when all you did was turn around and start walking in a new direction? Well, he had been arrested the year before already. And so the year before, the city had already arrested him because he went to a gay pride parade and stood outside it and witnessed outside it, too. So
witnessing to Muslims and
gays
is going to get you in trouble.
Got him arrested twice in Kansas. I think she could easily say we're not in Kansas anymore, Toto. For those who remember the Wizard of Oz movie. So he on the first arrest from the gay pride thing. Actually went into federal court with it. Now, he defended himself this time on the Muslim stuff because he couldn't get an attorney to defend him. And so in defending himself in court, no attorney would defend him. He kept trying to defend himself, and the court kept striking him down. And the court was really ticked off because it was full with people from his church, and it embarrassed the judge, and so he just threw the book at him. So what happened was the year before, when he got arrested for the gay pride parade, they filed a federal lawsuit over that, a civil suit, and the judge came down in his favor. He won the lawsuit. He gets damages. He gets legal fees. The city dropped all the charges, admitted it had violated his constitutional rights.
Good.
But then they turned around and did it the next year. But nonetheless, that is a victory. So Pastor Holick is, been arrested twice. One is now completely vindicated, cleared, and the city paid him for all of his expenses. Can you imagine getting arrested and then having to pay money to defend yourself?
No kidding.
For standing on the sidewalk and speaking?
It's a good thing he was willing to fight it, not not just cave in and say,
right.
I guess God doesn't want me doing this. That's how some might respond. But he said, no,
I'm going to
fight for my rights.
A good deal. Got a short one here on education spending. As we all know, when scores go down, you need to spend more money in education. That's always the solution.
When what you're doing is failing miserably, do more of it.
That's right. We're spending more than we've spent we spend more than any nation in the world in education. Our scores are lower, so we just need to spend more.
Yeah.
If we can spend more, that proves we love education. That'll help us. I think we're at $460 billion a year on local, state, and federal spending. I think that's the number that is accurate. But nonetheless, Americans aren't buying into it. By a 3-to-1 margin, voters, not citizens, voters say spending will not make a difference. Spending more will not help education, and they're ready to stop spending. So when you take, for example, all the spending we've been doing recently, do you know the average reading score in 2009 was lower than it was in 1992? Now think how much more we spent in 17 years.
20 years we accomplished nothing. We got worse.
Oh, yeah, we've accomplished something. So if the numbers are right, it needs to be the less we spend, the better the scores get, because we're spending less in 1992 and we had higher scores than right now in 2009. So I love the fact that people they're not buying into this nonsense of all the teachers' unions and all the political people saying, oh, education's in trouble, the scores are low, we got to spend more. By 3-to-1 margin, people are saying, no, you don't have to spend more, and that will not fix education.
So then that if that's the opinion of the people, then hopefully that gets reflected then in the choices that they make for their leaders, school board members, the whole 9 yards, and not just say, oh, it's for the children, spend whatever it takes. But if you know in your gut that spending more money is not going to solve the problem, make sure your vote reflects that.
Make sure you vote that, and make sure that when you vote, you let them know that I voted for you because you're not going to just go start throwing money at a problem. Yeah. Throwing money at a problem does not fix the problem.
That's exactly
and so
right.
That's good news that and again, we didn't hear that in the national news talking about the people want the spending dropped. They hear exactly the opposite.
No, most legislators are scared to death to make the necessary cuts that need to be made because they're afraid people don't.
They've been told, they listen to the media, and the media says people are going to eat your head off if you cut spending, and that's not what the people are saying.
Excellent. Well, people keep speaking up then, and we'll get those results. Back in a moment, we got some more good news coming your way here on Good News Friday on Wallbuilders Live. Hey friends, want to share a great opportunity for your pastor and their spouse. It's the Wallbuilders Pastors Briefings that we hold in Washington, D.C. each year. There are a few slots open. Be sure and check it out at wallbuilders.com. Click on scheduling and then click on Pastors Briefings. Share that with your pastor, or if you're a pastor listening, you can go online right now and sign up. The dates that are left available are July 12th and 13th. It's a phenomenal experience. You get to go through a spiritual heritage tour of the Capitol, going into all the old rooms right there with David Barton, hearing the rich, godly heritage of our nation. And then the next day, you get a full day of briefings from members of Congress. It's a great opportunity to find out what's really going on in Washington, D.C. This event is free of charge to pastors, so be sure and find out more at wallbuilders.com. Again, July 12th and 13th in Washington, D.C. with David Barton.